Jake always thought he understood women. He had been in relationships before, had plenty of female friends, and watched enough dating advice videos to feel like he had a solid grasp on attraction. But everything changed one night at a local coffee shop when his best friend, Eric, decided to share a few shocking truths. The coffee shop was bustling with energy. Baristas moved quickly behind the counter, pouring lattes and ringing up orders. The scent of freshly ground coffee beans filled the air, blending with a warm, comforting atmosphere of people engaged in quiet conversations. Jake and Eric sat at a table near the window, observing the world outside while sipping their drinks. Eric leaned in, setting his cup down with a grin. "Dude, did you know that women are more attracted to guys who don't chase them?" Jake raised an eyebrow and let out a short laugh. "That makes no sense. If you like someone, shouldn't you show interest?" Eric smirked. "You think so, but trust me, they like mystery." Before Jake could argue, two women sat down at the table beside them. One had long dark hair, and her confidence was evident in the way she carried herself. The other had wavy blonde hair, and she laughed in a way that made heads turn. They chatted animatedly, their voices blending into the background noise, but one particular conversation caught Jake's attention. The blonde, Emily, was talking about a date she had been on recently. "He smelled incredible," she said with a dreamy sigh. "And his shoes were clean. That's how you know a guy has his life together." Jake furrowed his brows. Shoes? That was something he had never really considered before. He glanced down at his sneakers, suddenly wondering if they made an impression. The brunette, Natalie, nodded. "It's the little things. I don't care if a guy has a six-pack. If he can't put himself together properly, I'm out." Jake exchanged a glance with Eric, who gave him a knowing look. Maybe there was something to this. As the conversation continued, the women revealed more insights that left Jake stunned. Emily leaned forward. "I don't need a guy to be the most handsome man in the room. What I care about is how he carries himself. Confidence is everything." Natalie chimed in. "Exactly. I once went out with this guy who wasn't traditionally good-looking, but the way he spoke, the way he walked into a room, it was like he knew his worth. That was attractive." Jake had always assumed looks were the #1 factor in attraction. But listening to them, he started to realize it was deeper than that. Confidence wasn't just about looking good. It was about self-assurance, about owning who you were without needing validation. Then Emily said something that really threw him. "You ever test a guy without even realizing it?" Natalie laughed. "Oh, all the time. Like, I'll mention another guy in conversation just to see how he reacts. If he gets all jealous or weird about it, that's a red flag." Jake looked at Eric, who nodded. "See? Women test us. They don't even do it on purpose sometimes. It's subconscious." Jake thought back to past relationships. He had definitely been tested before. There were moments when a girl would casually mention an ex or joke about another guy, and he would react poorly. Now, he wondered if that had been a mistake. Emily continued. "The biggest turnoff? A guy who's too available. If he texts me constantly or always agrees with me, it's boring. I want to feel like I earned his attention." Natalie nodded. "Exactly. The best relationships I've had were with guys who had their own lives, their own passions. If a guy is too easy to get, where's the excitement?" Jake was floored. He had always been taught that women wanted consistency and reassurance, but now he was hearing that too much availability could actually backfire. It wasn't about playing games. It was about having a life outside of dating. The conversation shifted as Emily tapped her fingers on the table thoughtfully. "You know what's really attractive? A guy who's passionate about something. It doesn't matter what it is, music, art, sports, his career. Just something that lights him up." Natalie smiled. "Yes. Passion is contagious. If a guy has drive, it makes everything about him more attractive. If he's passionate about life, he'll be passionate in a relationship, too." Jake sat back in his chair, letting everything sink in. He had spent years trying to impress women with compliments and grand gestures, but now he realized attraction was built in much more subtle ways. It was in how a guy carried himself, the confidence he exuded, and the life he lived outside of relationships. As the women stood up to leave, Jake turned to Eric. "Okay, I admit it. I had no idea." Eric grinned. Told you. Women are fascinating, aren't they? Jake nodded. He had learned more in one night at a coffee shop than he had in years of dating. Attraction wasn't just about appearance or effort, it was about self-respect, confidence, and living a life that naturally drew people in. And with that realization, he was ready to start looking at relationships in a whole new way.